New legal developments on this Christmas Eve. A legal battle against special counsel Robert Mueller apparently has now reached the Supreme Court. Politico reporting an unidentified firm presented an application Saturday to Chief Justice John Roberts asking for a stay of a federal appeals court ruling that turned down the company's efforts to block a grand jury subpoena for records. Bringing Ashley Merchant on this, federal white-collar criminal defense attorney. Ashley, trying to quash subpoenas, not that unusual. Clearing entire floors of courthouses for the arguments over trying to quash subpoenas, and then making them to the Supreme Court on Christmas Eve, pretty unusual.
Definitely clearing the courthouse, clearing the entire floor, definitely unusual and an extreme step, telling us that they are very much trying to keep everything out of the public limelight, out of scrutiny. But going to the Supreme Court on Christmas Eve, going to the Supreme Court a few days before the holiday and getting a stay, that's not that unusual, because what the Supreme Court is basically saying, they're not ruling one way or another. This isn't indicative of the outcome. What they're saying is we need more time. We need everything, the status quo, to stop. We need it to stop, and we need to have a few days to look at this. And so they've given a deadline for the parties to submit their briefs. So they've got a few more days to submit their briefs, and then they'll decide whether or not they want to consider this. And the first step with the Supreme Court is going to be whether or not they even want to review the district court's ruling, whether they want to review this actual ruling. And then if they decide they want to review it, then they can get into the merits of it and determine whether or not they want to rule.
As we have learned so often trying to break down these rulings, these filings involving the Mueller investigation, it's often like looking at a white piece of paper with large black boxes on it, emphasis on large in that case. Any telltale phrases, anything that you've been able to pull out of any of these filings that strikes you that could give us some kind of insight without speculation?
Yes, definitely. When I reviewed the pleadings and the order, I actually reviewed the court's order, and then I reviewed the Supreme Court documents where they were asking for review. And what I think is telling is that this foreign corporation, what they're arguing is they're arguing that they're immune. And the reason they're saying that they are immune is that their own government's laws entitled to them to some type of protection, meaning that their own government's laws say that they are not subject to subpoena. So what that tells me is these are some type of documents, most likely financial, possibly banking, something that the government has a role in actually running this business, this corporation. So it's some type of a government-backed business, much like in America where we have the FDIC. We have a banking system, but we've also got federal government involvement in that, and we've also got some type of privacy laws. That's the other piece that I see.
Without speculating, there are countries involved as adversaries, if you will, to the United States, whose government corporate interactions are perhaps much tighter than what you suggest between the FDIC and the U.S. government. Ashley, appreciate you being with us. Thanks so much. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.